There comes a moment in every man's life when the curtain finally drops and you see the world for what it truly is, not what you wished it to be. You look around, waiting for someone to notice your struggle, your exhaustion, your quiet breaking point. But no one does. You wait for compassion, understanding, a hand on your shoulder. But the room stays silent. The world keeps moving. People carry on with their lives as if your pain is a ghost only you can see. And suddenly, the truth hits you with the force of cold iron. No one is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your parents, not the people you've sacrificed for, not even the ones who said they cared. You realize you have cried alone, fought alone, healed alone. And perhaps for the first time in your life, the illusion of being looked after dies. And in its death, something inside you wakes up, because this is the moment every Stoic man is born from. Here's the paradox that almost no one understands. The moment you realize no one cares is the moment you stop waiting, stop begging, stop hoping, and start becoming dangerous. Because indifference from the world forces self-reliance into your bones. It hardens your spirit, it sharpens your focus, it frees you from the expectations that once chained you. When you finally stop seeking validation, you start seeking mastery. When you stop looking outward, you start building inward. And strangely, that is when your strength begins. The harsh truth becomes the first breath of your transformation. The coldness becomes your fire. Human beings are wired to care about themselves first. That's not cruelty, it's nature. Everyone is fighting their own invisible battle. Everyone is drowning in their own thoughts. Everyone is carrying a story you will never fully know. And when you understand this, you stop taking their absence personally. You stop expecting people to fill the holes in your life when they're struggling to fill their own. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And nowhere is this truer than in the expectations we create. You imagine people thinking of you, worrying about you, checking on you. You imagine they missed your silence. But silence goes unnoticed in a world where everyone is screaming for attention. You imagine loyalty, but people are loyal only to their comfort. You imagine support, but people help only when it costs them nothing. This is the harsh truth. Most of what you expect from others exists only in your imagination. Real life is colder, simpler, cleaner. People care about what affects them. They remember what benefits them. They stay when it's easy, disappear when it's not. And this isn't bitterness, this is clarity. When you finally see this truth, you stop expecting depth from shallow people. You stop expecting priority from people who place you last. You stop expecting rescue from people who are barely holding themselves together. And in that clarity, you finally become free. Because now, life is no longer about being understood. It is about standing strong even when no one understands you at all. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." At first glance, this sounds simple. But when you sit with it, when you truly let it sink into the wounds you've earned over the years, you understand its brutality. Life will not pause for your heartbreak. The world will not stop because you are tired. People will not rearrange themselves to accommodate your pain. You can scream, you can break, you can fall to your knees, and the earth will keep turning. This realization hurts because it exposes the truth. You have built your emotional life on the belief that someone would catch you. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. It teaches that suffering becomes unbearable only when you believe someone owes you comfort. When you abandon that belief, reality becomes lighter. You stop collapsing under disappointment because your strength no longer depends on other people's attention. You stop waiting for apologies that will never come. You stop waiting for recognition that will never be given. You stop waiting for someone to care enough to pull you out because you finally recognize that your peace is your responsibility. And in that moment, you begin to rise, quietly, powerfully, alone yet unstoppable. Now the shift begins. Once you accept that no one cares in the way you once hoped, something strange happens. You stop being fragile. You stop letting emotions hijack your mind. You stop being manipulated by disappointment. Instead, you start viewing suffering as training, not punishment. Hard moments become weights that strengthen you. Pain becomes a teacher instead of a threat. Neglect becomes fuel instead of a scar. Think of the moments you were ignored, forgotten, dismissed. Think of the nights no one checked on you. Think of the battles you fought in silence. Those were not curses. They were your initiation. They forged your independence. They forced you to build internal armor. They taught you how to withstand loneliness, rejection, uncertainty. Modern psychology calls this distress tolerance, the ability to remain centered while everything around you collapses. Stoicism has taught this for thousands of years. A disciplined man doesn't crumble when life is indifferent. He adapts, he observes, he endures. Because he understands that every challenge is shaping him into someone who no longer fears being alone, unnoticed, or unsupported. The world's neglect becomes irrelevant when you no longer depend on the world. And the man who needs nothing cannot be broken. This is the reframe. Your suffering was not a sign of weakness. It was the gym where your strength was built in silence. Modern psychology and ancient Stoicism meet at one powerful truth. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. When you stop expecting people to care, you don't become emotionless, you become disciplined. You take back control from the illusions that once dictated your mood. Think about how much suffering comes from assumptions. Assuming someone should check on you, assuming someone should understand you, assuming someone should notice your absence. These assumptions create invisible chains attached to your peace. Stoicism breaks those chains. Psychology calls it internal locus of control, the belief that your life is shaped by your decisions, not by the unpredictable behavior of others. A man who depends on external validation becomes emotionally rented, never owning his self-worth, always waiting for someone else to tell him he matters. But a Stoic man owns himself fully, his emotions, his reactions, his purpose. And when you own yourself, manipulation loses its grip, abandonment loses its sting, disappointment loses its power, because you understand that the only person who determines the quality of your life is you. When you adopt this mindset, people no longer confuse you, hurt you, or destabilize you the way they once did. You see them clearly. You see their limits. You accept what they can and cannot give. And in that acceptance, emotional freedom begins. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop collapsing. It means you stop living at the mercy of other people's attention. It means you start living on your own terms. Here is the climactic truth, the one most men run from. Nobody cares until you become someone they can't ignore. Nobody cares about your potential, your dreams, your pain, your silence. But the moment you rise, the moment you grow, the moment you sharpen yourself into someone disciplined, capable, and unshakable, suddenly the world starts noticing. This is the harsh formula of life. Respect comes after discipline, not before. Admiration comes after mastery, not before. Support comes after success, not before. People don't care when you are struggling in the dark. But once you build something powerful, your mind, your skills, your presence, people suddenly claim they always believed in you. They didn't. They cared only when your strength became useful, inspiring, or undeniable. This truth should not make you bitter. It should make you unstoppable. Because it means one thing: your transformation is in your hands, not theirs. Repeat this to yourself. No one cares until I become someone they have no choice but to care about. And the moment you stop expecting applause, validation, encouragement, you gain a level of focus most men will never reach. Because now, you're not living to be seen. You're living to become solid. You're not trying to impress, you're trying to evolve. You're not chasing approval, you're chasing mastery. And this is where the true awakening happens. You no longer need them. But strangely, that is exactly when they start paying attention. Now you move differently. You don't wait for motivation, you create it. You don't wait for permission, you act. You don't wait for support, you stand on your own legs. You walk into rooms with quiet confidence, knowing you're not owed anything. You stop chasing people and start chasing purpose. You stop explaining yourself and start focusing on becoming undeniable. Life feels lighter now, not because it got easier, but because you stopped carrying the imaginary weight of other people's expectations. You see the world clearly, indifferent, imperfect, self-interested, and yet you remain calm, disciplined, grounded. This is the beginning of your new life. A life where your strength comes from within. A life where your value is defined by your actions, not someone's attention. A life where your silence is power, not weakness. The Stoics didn't become strong because life cared. They became strong because they understood that it never would. And now, so do you. Take a moment to breathe. Let everything you just heard settle into your chest. Ask yourself who you are becoming now that you no longer expect the world to carry your weight. Reflect on the man you want to be: calm, disciplined, self-reliant. A man who moves with intention, not desperation. If this message spoke to you, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Comment below. I choose clarity. Let this be your silent vow, your new beginning, your quiet declaration that you no longer live for attention, you live for truth. Stay disciplined, stay grounded, and walk your path with calm, unshakable Stoic strength.